This is Amber, and for my concept, I focused on making a photo composite. I first clipped out the bottle so that I could isolate it from the background and move it into a new position. I also did some cleaning up on the bottle, removing the distracting reflections in the cap and removing the blue reflections since the cap is actually silver. I also removed the shadow at the bottom of the bottle since in my composite it will be elevated. Now, I tried doing a photo shoot for this one to capture some extra elements, but I was insanely sick, and so none of it turned out, and I tossed all the footage and went with stock. This is an image of yuzu from Adobe stock, since the perfume scent is yuzu pop. I focused on creating a layout that worked well for vertical posts and created more eye movement across the canvas. I love to create shapely shadows in my composites, as I think it gives the solid background a nice base. And then I went in and added shadows and highlights to the image to match where the light is coming from and where the shadow falls. This is one of my favorite parts of compositing, as you can really change an image with just a few brush strokes and a layer blending mode. There are so many ways to do these shadows, but honestly, I've gotten so fast with a paintbrush that half the time that's the best solution for me. I also did some overall adjusting with curves and levels and added a gradient mask. Since my photo shoot didn't work out, I didn't have the splashes of yuzu juice that I was hoping for. So I got inventive and I added these stock coffee splashes that I had from another project. A slight color adjustment and they look just like yuzu juice. And there you have it.
This is Brooke. I decided to do supportive illustration with this product. I started off with guides to make sure the bottle is squared off and a quick dust clean, followed by clipping out the bottle. Then I started messing around with the background color to test out mood, and honestly, a white background is just too scary. I experimented with different brushes to see which effect I wanted to go with. I knew I wanted it to be loose and impressionistic. I noticed the colors were a little harsh here, so I used a blend brush to ebb the marks away, which emulated a light wash of watercolor. At this point, I was referencing French fashion illustrations, which always pair well with perfumes and the like. After getting some basic color blocking put down, I started on the line work. I knew I wanted to illustrate yuzu fruit that leaned against the bottle, so I started with that element to help then inform where the next element would be placed in the composition. I decided the line work was too heavy here and it was pulling focus from the product, and the best solution to me was picking a lighter color. I added some filler elements to balance out the image. I knew I wanted the movement of those elements to frame the product in a pleasing way, so I played around with the general direction of the line first before filling in the elements and honing in on the details. Then I started messing around with different weight of lines to see if that helps my image. I also tried more subtle splotches in the background for some depth. This is a stage I always go through, and I try out random ideas to see if any of it improves the image. At this point, it's basically done, but I have to make sure I've tried everything and tested every option. Sometimes happy accidents occur here, so I find this stage of art making very helpful. When I feel I've tried everything out, I like to zoom way out and see the picture at a small scale so I can see the contrast and overall composition. By doing so, I realized this was a little too muted and dull, so I added some bright lines into the scene. I played around with the pencil tool to lean even further into the classic feel of fashion illustration. To me, it was seeming a little too digital. I ended up liking that more, so I redrew what I had with a textured pencil tool, which gave it some finer detail. I also like to flip my composition around to get a feel for whether anything is off balance. It can also be helpful to draw in different directions to help it feel more natural. Lots more testing here. I have a habit of doing a lot of detail work and then pulling back as I finish out. It was Coco Chanel who said, "Before you leave the house, look in the mirror and take one thing off." Sometimes it's hard to know when something is complete until you've fiddled with it too far, and that's when you know what to remove and call the piece complete. And that's a final.